Hey guys, CreamCrazy here. Welcome to my August Q&A video. A lot of you have been looking forward to this. So have I. And guys, I'll tell you now, it's been 2 months, so I wasn't really expecting that many questions. I got 40. 4, mirror effect, fuck that. 40 questions. Holy shit. I can't believe it. Not many people, to be honest with you, would be able to believe I have that many questions. Hey, you guys, thank you so much for getting these in. Let's get on with this right away, because there's a lot to get through. First of all, Skillachi asks, what do you think WrestleMania 29 will be like if it's lashing down with rain, or worse, snow, in New York, New Jersey? With 65% rainfall in early April, snow falling every 2 years, low temperatures, and the stadium having no roof, do you think it will have an effect on the quality of the show? To be honest, it will have an effect, and it's mostly due to the crowd, because, as we all know, us as people, in the rain, the snow, in the cold, become very, very irritable. We will basically vent, because WWE would say to them, look, it's an outdoor event. You should have fucking told us this was going to happen. Because I know some people would complain and say, oh, you should have told us this weather was coming, otherwise we would have prepared. The fact is, WrestleMania 24, they were saying it's not going to rain, but it could. So they thought, okay, we're going to put some waterproof, disposable waterproof jackets just in case. And if you've brought your own and your umbrella, good on you, because at least you've come prepared. In this case, it's not a sunny place. It's not Florida, for God's sake. So, I think the people of New York, of New Jersey, of all the countries going from all around the world to this event, they need to be prepared. Because in all fairness, the weather may affect us, the crowd, but it will not affect the show in the slightest. Because obviously there's going to be a cover on the ring. They can obviously put some extra sheets to go down at an angle like this from that top tarpaulin, so it would just slope down a ringside area. But then that could be quite bad in terms of someone slipping over doing a move, could botch it, could seriously hurt them. A la Droz in 1999. It could happen, it could not happen. But in all fairness, WWE won't care because the show will still go on. The attitude that they had back in 99 when Owen Hart died still rests today. They will continue a show no matter what happens, unless it is so bad. So the rain is torrential, and I mean torrential. It doesn't stop for the entirety of the show. Then they may have to halt it a bit. You know, maybe their creative guys could have some filler backstage for something. I don't know. Or they could... This kind of thing where having, like football, we've got the analysts and the pundits talking during a period of inactivity is useful. WWE doesn't have that, unfortunately, so it can't be done. Playlist Maker SG asks, why do you like Kofi Kingston? To be honest, it's hard for me to explain why I like Kofi Kingston. It's the fact that, okay, he's got a decent moveset. He's got decent mic ability, which, to be honest with you, does not get shown enough. And the fact that I've always believed he's good enough for something bigger than he is now. I mean, he's won everything bar the King of the Ring, the Rumble, the Money in the Bank, and a major title. WWE all definitely see something in him. They definitely see potential. I mean, honestly, the feud he had with Randy Orton in 2009 should have been the one feud that got him somewhere. But of course, Orton's a douche, and therefore he can bury a career at the snap of a finger. I know Cena can't bury a career at the snap of a finger because he's at least quite courteous. The fact is, he's got that little X factor, and he needs to be able to basically show it. Because at the Elimination Chamber build-up, he was able to show his mic ability by getting in the face of Ziggler, Jericho, and all the rest. And that made me smile. Because it reminded me back to when he poured paint all over the rally car of Orton and smashed it in with a crowbar. That's the kind of intensity I expect from the guy. And if he's tagged with R-Truth, not doing much, he's not going to be able to do that. He's not going to be able to get that response from the crowd that he needs to become something big. And he can. He will probably do it at some point, but it's that all that potential is one of the reasons I love him. It's probably the main reason I like Kofi Kingston, because he's a guy who can do just about anything. And I want to see where WWE take him. That's why I support him. He's a guy who could go somewhere. Seriously, he's a decent ring worker, but okay, he may need to stop relying on his power-up moves coming out of nowhere like Super Cena, you know, the flying clotheslines, that kind of stuff out of a corner, to really make me take him seriously a bit. But the fact is, he's got the potential. He'll get there. Don't worry about it. That's how I like him. He will get there somehow. And that's why I'm always hoping. I'm always hoping he'll be the first black guy since Bobby Lashley to get anywhere near a main event sector. Obviously, R-Truth got near a main event, but only got squashed in a shit match. So, yeah, just putting it out there. And Ezekiel Jackson didn't get anywhere either. WWE needs to have someone in the racial boundary fill up the block properly. Real Spider-Man Noir fan, what do you think of Trish Stratus? Very good wrestler. Definitely knew her way inside the ring. Definitely knew how to do promos properly. That's one thing as a valet and as a wrestler that made her bloody good, is that she knew what things to do, say, etc. to get the crowd on her side or against her. That's what made her a really good diva. And in all fairness, the wrestling was just an added extra. Because to be honest, she, as a valet, made us all sit up and pay attention. If it wasn't for Stephanie McMahon, we probably wouldn't have given a shit. And then when she finally won the damn thing, in a decent way, we kind of gave a shit, and we've given a shit since. Trish Stratus, I think for me, I've never really been 100% satisfied. Because, in all fairness, she's a nice person and a decent wrestler. But, you know me, divas, I do not look at them that way. Unless it's AJ Maurice or just about anyone who looks satisfyingly ridiculous. You know what I mean? The fact is, very good diva. I'll just leave it at that. I like Trish Stratus. I do prefer Lita a hell of a lot more because of the personality she put out. Cancerous mic work. What are your thoughts on Randy Orton? And a man who obviously divides so much opinions here in the WWE and the wrestling world beyond. Orton, I've always felt a good wrestler, knew his way around the ring quite well, has some good moves, has good mic work when he needs to do them, because you know me, you know him. If you know him well enough, from the start of his WWE career, when he was all the way from a jobber status in 2002 to now, you know his mic work is better as a heel than a face, or basically when he's not just sitting in the same monotone voice. For me, however, my view on Orton is always slightly tainted, because no matter how good the guy can be, I always get this lingering feeling that basically Vince McMahon will bend over backwards, kiss his ass, and give him anything. Because simply, he had a silver spoon in his mouth from the moment he came in WWE, and his behaviour and attitude shows. His reluctance to put over guys, the way he methodically beats the crap out of people when it comes to a hulking up moment, a Super Cena comeback moment. You think about it, Cena at least puts heart into it. At least he sells moves sometimes in those situations. Orton never does. And I've hated him because he does it he no-sells more than Cena. And Cena's the renowned no-seller. Hell, Sheamus is now the renowned no-seller. But the fact is, Orton's the guy who I will always see as a guy who just honestly will not bend over for anyone. He will not be the guy to give someone else the rub. Okay, sure, he gave Mark Henry the biggest rub of his career, and that was a very, very nice thing, because he realised it needed to be done. And also he gave Triple H a rub because, well, it's Triple H. Enough said. He needs to be able to just be like everyone else. I know Cena needs to do the same. Every face needs to do the same. They need to be on an equal playing field. And Orton's always that guy. Okay, Cena is on a different playing field to everyone else. I can accept that. But Orton, he seems like he's on a different one. He believes he's on a different playing field. And it pisses me off. Because every time I watch him wrestle, it really annoys me when I do. Because it just makes me feel like, okay, you're a decent wrestler, but it looks like you're a douche. the way you act in the ring and the way you command yourself in the ring, and backstage for that matter, makes you look like a complete douche. No wonder people have hated you in the past. Just saying. So yeah, I have mixed feelings on Randy Orton. Nintendo Fanboy 1988. What are your thoughts on the Mountie and Raven when he was Johnny Polo? Two different characters, two different things here. Now, the Mountie, I have to say, when I did the rehearsal for this last night, I was just going over my questions, I kind of realised something. The WWE in the 90s and the 2000s, technically, well, in the 90s technically, if you want to be that precise, had, for America and Canada, two sides to stereotyping and or patriotising that country in certain respects. First, you have Canada. The Mountie and Bret Hart, okay? Bret Hart, proud Canadian, very good technical wrestler. Not much patriotism, but at least he can wave the Canadian flag and be proud of it. The Mountie was a Canadian staple, a Canadian gimmick, and it was just ridiculous. And the fact is, that's the overblown, kayfabe, holy shit gimmick that, to be honest, you'd expect around that time. It was okay. I liked the Mountie. It was a unique little gimmick, but however, he was just basically Big Boss Man's bitch. To put it that way. The Big Boss Man made him his bitch in SummerSlam, I think, 88? I'm not too sure. Was it? That's one of those things that really phases me. I know it's a SummerSlam moment where he gets thrown in jail after losing a match, but I can't remember which. Sucks for me. I'm usually good at these kind of things. The other notion of America, though, the Patriot and Kurt Angle is the exact same. And I found that really funny, that they have one side being the respected technical wrestler with the patriotic roots slightly to the side, and then a gimmick with the patriotism everywhere and not too much wrestling ability on that. It's quite funny. Raven as Johnny Polo I enjoyed. I haven't seen much of him as Johnny Polo, but whenever I have, I always thought, wow, this is a side of the guy we know as Raven, who is known in real life as Scott Levy. We've never seen that side of him before. We've always seen the dark, depressed, intense Raven, and I thought, looking back, the guy had natural charisma. It's obvious now how good he was on the mic, because honestly, the guy had charisma to do just about anything. It made me feel he maybe should have kept a happy gimmick. But then again, if he hadn't gone to a depressed, ridiculously psychotic Raven, we would never have seen one of the best wrestling characters, honestly. I think Raven needs to kind of do one of those things again. Seriously, happy gimmicks, if done right, can be damn good. Not be boring like Kofi Kingston. Yeah, I said it. Playlist Maker SG, I'm holding my hands up. Kofi Kingston's gimmick as a happy-go-lucky, ridiculously happy, smiley person who jumps around is boring. Yeah, you're going to love me now. You're going to bow down and kiss my feet just because of that comment. Oh, God. Seriously, I'm on a roll here. Roy Poon. Sorry, I kind of had to laugh. Not because... Okay, is Poon your actual surname, or did you just make that up? I'm just saying, because I laugh whenever... It's just the word Poon. It makes people laugh. Enough said. What do you think of Ludwig Borger and him taking his own life in early 2010? I didn't know too much about Borger. I haven't seen, again, for me, I'm a person who's watched a lot of wrestling from 80s to now, but I haven't watched a lot from the 80s till the mid-90s, because that's not my area of expertise. The fact is, him taking his own life, a big thing, because I remember JR saying on his blog that he was not well liked backstage, and he had a lot of issues with drugs, with alcohol, with other people, in social situations. The guy was apparently a really hard person to really get to know and befriend. So, I don't know, I can't really fully answer this question, really. Because, one, I don't know the wrestler too much, and second, I don't really know the situation regarding his death. So, yeah, I'm sorry, man, I can't fully answer that question. If I knew more, I'd be able to give a more in-depth feeling on it. Largest85 asks, whatever happened to Tiffany since she has been released from the WWE? I've not heard... Oh, this is your words, not mine, okay? I would never write this kind of thing. This is yours. I have not heard from her sexy ass. Does she still wrestle, and what were your thoughts on her? I don't know if she does. Because I don't think she... Okay, sure, she was in a relationship with Drew McIntyre, and I think she still is. I'm not entirely sure. She probably is wrestling, but probably as a valet, more or less. She's not going to be an in-the-ring person. And honestly, the character of her was very bland. Okay, sure, a diva with decent, very, very limited, but good mic skills. She at least could control a crowd on ECW somewhat. When I saw ECW in, I think, 2011... No, that was 2010. Sorry, got that completely wrong. 2010, she could hold the crowd, they listened, but they didn't really care. It was a symptom of that, where they listened, but they just didn't really give any response. Simple. Look, I think she may have done more if she had a little more edge to her gimmick, and at least made herself more out there. Because she seemed just like a normal diva in a suit. A normal, decent-looking diva with meh mic skills and no wrestling ability in a suit. It was basically like that. And I felt that as a GM, I couldn't respect. Eve Torres as a GM or an assistant, I can respect, simply because she could actually pull off the mic work and make you want to hate her loads. And again, it's always easy to be hated than loved in this industry, I can tell you that. And okay, next question. I love this username. I love Watermelons525. Legendary username. Well done to you for the epic win. Do you agree with the people who call Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson a sellout? The only way I can really come to an actual opinion on this is by looking at the career of Metallica first, because they did a thrash metal, of course. They then went, after the Black Album, did some softer stuff, slower stuff. People ripped them to pieces. They were getting money, of course, and you could say they were sellouts. But then again, Metallica ended up releasing Death Magnetic in 2008, back at their thrash roots, and they were loving it and made more money in that subsequent tour than they've done in their careers up to then. That would not be a sellout, in my opinion, because they just want to do what they want to do. Okay? And that's the thing. I don't think there was money involved. Okay, sure, suing Napster made them a slight sellout, but you know what I mean. The Rock left wrestling, went to Hollywood, and obviously the films were meh, but one of them was good. Welcome to the Jungle, better known as The Rundown. Decent film. Sean William Scott and Christopher Walken technically made it, but you can see my point. The only thing is, though, do you ever look after that? Because after that film and a few others, he went to Disney and accepted a giant fucking paycheck. That is a sellout position. Because, okay, he did the Fast Five, the other guys, Journey to the Mysterious Island, the stupidest film name in history. He did those, okay, not a problem. The fact that he sold his soul to Disney for a fucking huge paycheck and orders him moolah, that is selling out, okay? Because obviously the money factor means sellout. I have to say this, I agree. In that case, Rock was a sellout. The thing for me, though, is I don't care about The Rock. I never have cared about The Rock. Okay, his mic work was great, but apart from that, he has had nothing for me. That's why he was rated low in my big list of greatest wrestlers of all time, you see, folks. It's everything else, but the mic work can only take you so far, you know? And I think, yeah, he was a sellout, definitely. But the fact he actually chose to come back is a testament to just showing this guy has still got commitment to this industry. Biggie Cena 5682 asks, and I honestly have no idea why anyone would bother asking me this question if you've seen my videos before. Why do you hate Hornswoggle? Okay, Hornswoggle. One is a midget, and that's not being technically discriminatory. Because, okay, wrestling has evolved from the 1900s, where it was technically a circus sideshow, a circus act, a state fair staple, okay? It's not that anymore. It's mainstream television. Midgets haven't got a place on mainstream wrestling products. Okay, and I understand, because when they brought that midgets division in to SmackDown in 2006-07, it bombed. It absolutely bombed. You know why it bombed? Because no one cared. If it was on Raw, it would have been in dead silence. There would be boos for boring shit. It would have been everything. Because midgets do not sell. Okay? Second, he made the Cruiserweight title completely worthless on the route to retirement. Because in retirement, a title should have prestige. It had none by the time that midget held it. Then, quite simply, he made Tyson Kidd and others in the Rumble in 2011 look like complete jobbers, and beyond that, he did an attitude adjustment on Tyson Kidd. Okay, sure, Tyson Kidd is now beating Tensai for a living. Hallelujah, that's a big step up. But he took a while to recover from that. A lot of guys would take a while to recover from that. And then finally, the fact is that no matter what happens, no matter how stupid the gimmick is, no matter how irrelevant this guy is, he still gets TV time over decent wrestlers. I mean, come on. 2007 Survivor Series, he had a match with Great Khali as one of the big selling points. No thanks, WWE, but that's not what I call good wrestling, okay? It was one of the worst things I've ever seen. Simple. I have hated Hornswoggle from the moment he left Finley's side as the little bastard. Hell, I hated him even more when he was Vince McMahon's illegitimate son. But one of the worst conclusions to a gimmick ever, because I hated it. Hey, the Anonymous GM too. There's another big angle that went down on a whimper because of that little fucktard. Seriously, the moment he is released, I will be the happiest person on earth. Just shut up, little kids who are crying. He's just a little guy. He's not an integral part of the industry. Just leave it, please. God. Oh, God, I needed to get that out of there. I hate Hornswoggle, damn it. You know it. Mark Tams 909090 asks, do you like Justin Gabriel, and is he good enough to be a world champion? I do like Justin Gabriel. His moveset is very interesting. I like his in-ring, his fast yet stern in-ring style. Him talking is always a nice, refreshing thing because his accent is sweet. The problem with him is, though, is that he hasn't got any edge to him. He hasn't got anything to set him apart from most other undercard guys in the WWE. He's got a good moveset. No problems with that. But when you look at the guy, he doesn't talk often. And that's annoying because I like hearing him talk. He needs to be able to have a gimmick too. Because he can't just be the South African guy who comes and do a 450 splash. He can't just be that guy. He needs to have something more. And until he gets it, he's going nowhere. He won't be a world champion. Okay, given the right push, he could be something. But honestly, he's not going to get too far, I don't think. He won't be good enough to be world champion. No way. And this coming from a decent Gabriel fan here. I don't think he's going to make it. Simple. Rico 3. And this is a nice little question, but even though I am doing a video on Ryback next week, I'm going to be answering this question anyway. If you had to pick Ryback's opponents, who would it be instead of these fucking jobbers? Now, okay, there are only a couple of people, because I would love to see... Okay, most of the people that Ryback faces are basically the same. Weedy little shits who are basically there to get pummeled. We haven't seen Ryback take on a guy of his own size, have we? Brodus Clay, a Sheamus. Haven't seen a guy like that take him on. Hell, we haven't even seen a guy like Big Show take him on yet. Or a guy like Khali. Big guys. Or even a guy like Cesaro, who's lean, but still able to kick some ass. We haven't seen, hell, even Tensai going after him. I want to see super heavyweights take on Ryback because it's stupid just seeing the same old light heavyweight, cruiserweight douchebags come in and get flattened. Okay, Tyler Rex couldn't get any damage in, and he's relatively big. Okay, that's a bad thing. But I want to see more. I want to see more. I want someone in WWE to feed him more super heavyweights. Give him some legitimate competition. Because, A super heavyweight demolition machine, or a heavyweight demolition machine in Ryback's case, would often be given a notion that, yeah, I want competition. This is too easy. The fact is, Ryback has never given any indication he wants more than being fed the scraps from the bottom of WWE's shoe. And that's really bad. I want to see more. I want to see more. I want to see Ryback threatened by somebody. Brodus Clay got beaten up by the Big Show, and that ended his undefeated streak. Gain him some more prestige by having him go against Ryback and do bloody well. That's why I would do it. I'd, of course, use that as a way of getting Clay back on track after losing to Sandow. My opinion alone here, folks. You don't have to believe every word I say. Let me get a drink of water quickly. Ugh. I need to put this bottle of water somewhere where I can get it. Ugh. I hate these little tops. They're really annoying. Anyway, that's that one done. So yeah, Brodus Clay, Sheamus, Big Show, any major heavyweights or super heavyweights will do just fine. Raylot 2, your first question. Was it your only question? I'm not too sure. I had to look further down to be sure. Silly me. Anyway, do you think it's fair that Damien Sandow is on TV every week when Zack Ryder is on Superstars still wrestling low-level talent? Okay, I'm doing a video on Damien Sandow next week as part of Wrestling Round Week, much like I'm doing Ryback one. And I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. 1. Zack Ryder made himself. WWE hates that. Therefore, you're going to go downhill. 2. Unlike Zack Ryder, Damien Sandow is a gimmick change that is miraculous. He was Idol Stevens in 2008 with Michelle McCool and Casey James, remember? Or KG James, one of the two. That was a very bland, shit character. He's now come back as something incredible. Something incredibly different. Something unique. And Zack Ryder may be special. Maybe something different. But he ain't unique. He is not a Sandow. Okay, and also, Sandow, I haven't seen his full ability in ring compared to Ryder. But Ryder's ability in the ring is very limiting. He's got some decent moves, but I feel he's not that good. He's got some decent spots, but just isn't the best guy for the job. Sandow actually can wrestle. I saw some stuff of him in the indies. He's a good guy to wrestle with. More bloody water. Honestly, I drink one bit, it comes back to haunt me again. So yeah, you can understand. Sandow being above Ryder, to me, seems logical. Playlist Maker SG, what would your reaction be if Sin Cara jumped from the commentary table to the Tron and did a Hurricane Rana to a guy on the ground? Now, I would be amazed, simply because you would finally see a guy with such agility to be able to pull something like that off. That would be impressive. Fact is, this is one of those fantasy questions where I know it won't happen. I like the fantasy questions where I'd love to imagine it, either laugh my arse off or believe it could happen. This is one that never will. I'd be impressed if he did do it. It would be a great thing, really. Speaking of Sin Cara, Elizabeth 1990 asked me, how would you book a Rey Mysterio heel turn for a feud with Sin Cara? Now, I would obviously put Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio in a team. Obviously put them in a team, because it's money, 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 because that is two masked luchadors as a team. That's a money maker right there, people. Seriously, a money maker. The fact is, what would I do? Oh yeah, Rey Mysterio, as the veteran, decides to take lead in this team. Does most of the work, Sin Cara finishes them off and picks up the win. After a while, Mysterio gets a bit pissed off because, of course, if you win the match, you get more adulation than the guy who's your tag partner. Sin Cara lifting his hands up high, celebrating. After a while, this gets a bit tiresome for Mysterio. Mysterio then basically punches him and leaves him down. Hits him with 619, turns heel, rips on him for falling in his coattails, like most luchadors now do. Well, not now, but you see my point. It would be a good antagonizing motion. Then, of course, noting Rey Mysterio could rip on Sin Cara's ability to botch. That would be something interesting, wouldn't it? The fact is, it would be all in Spanish. We probably wouldn't be able to understand it. There aren't many guys who can do that, apart from Del Rio, and Del Rio's English is slightly fractured, but he can still do it. The fact is, if Eddie Guerrero was still alive, he would have fit into that moment superbly. He would have been the interpreter between these two. He would have made some comedic remarks to both of them, and it would have been fun. But of course, that now obviously can't happen. But I feel these two would just obviously get in each other's way, saying, who is the best luchador? Who is the best in the world at this art of wrestling? Okay? And also, just to point out, it's past versus future too. So, yeah, it's simple. The highest grossing wrestler in Mexican history versus the most commercially successful wrestler. Wait, did I say commercially successful musician or wrestler there? My mind's going already. But yeah, Mysterio, most commercially successful outside of Mexico versus the most commercially successful inside. Big thing there, that would be worth money in gold in the Latino market. Simple. Skillachi, your second question. I will now say this. I apologise for not getting your questions before. I've had them before. The fact is, I don't know, I just never ended up receiving them somehow. I don't know how that's happened. But yeah, message me via Facebook or Skype. I'll get them then. Easy. Why another fight between Sheamus and Del Rio? And these are your words here now. I'm sick of them already, and I'm from Dublin. It's WWE's own fault for not building enough heels. Why not give shots to Ziggler or Rhodes? Why is Rhodes in a silly feud with Sin Cara? I thought they were giving him a push. Let me just kind of draw the line here. Because Sheamus Del Rio would have already ended by now if one, the match that was scheduled to take place at Over the Limit happened. If the match at Extreme Rules were meant to have happened, well, no, because Daniel Bryan has rematch. Over the Limit should have happened. Money No Way Out also should have happened that way in a one-on-one contest. Money in the Bank can happen, SummerSlam happened. They were going to originally have a series of 3 anyway. So honestly, they were going to do it. They were going to do this from the start. It just had to be delayed because of the groin and concussion injuries Del Rio suffered. Second, they want to get the most out of Del Rio while they still can, because he's a bankable name. He's got the ability in the ring, the charisma to do mic work. He's got championship winning status. He's at least the fact that he's got his uncle in the Hall of Fame. Dos Caras obviously would be supporting him in there. He's not got long left. A lot of people in WWE right now are saying he says he wants to retire in the next 2 years or so. So they want to get the most out of Del Rio now while they can. Milk him until he runs out. That's what they want to do. Also, Ziggler's got money in the bank. He would have technically been in that picture anyway. Plus, he's already lost to Sheamus. So therefore, he can't really stand up and have a good feud with him knowing he's already been beaten. Rhodes, his gimmick isn't very strong. And to be honest, he has gone nowhere since his feud with the Big Show. He's gone nowhere. Honestly, I put him down as a favourite to win the world title and be in the main event. I'm now slowly starting to regret that because it doesn't seem likely to happen. Seriously, I'm more likely to see Wade Barrett be champion this year than Cody. But then again, Barrett's been ready since 2010. Just saying. Yeah. So yeah, the feud with Sin Cara is just to give him something to build heel heat for him, I suppose. Ziggler's already going on. I went after Jericho. Now I have no idea what he's going to do. So we have to wait and see about that. Sheamus Del Rio, this will be the last time. This will be the last time. If it happens one more time, though, I'll be pissed. Simple. Oh, God, I need more water. Oh, I needed that. Oh. Real Spider-Man Noir fan. What if you came home and you caught Vince McMahon and CM Punk stealing your stuff? They see you and they say, shit, we've been busted. Ugh. What would you do to them? And will you still be a fan of WWE? First, I would ask CM Punk, why the hell are you stealing my stuff? Understand why, if it's a decent reason. Try and become friends with him, because that would be an awesome thing. Vince McMahon, I'd have the legitimate legal opportunity to punch him in the face. He's an intruder. He's an intruder. I can punch him. And also, yeah, I want to punch him anyway, so it would be the perfect opportunity for me to punch McMahon right in the kisser. Pow! Right in the kisser. Yeah. Will I still be a fan? Yeah, of course. That won't stop me. That won't stop me at all. That won't stop me in any way or form. Because, yeah, they may have been able to steal my stuff, but they wouldn't have any of it. Because I would tell Vince McMahon, if you don't give me back my stuff, I'll tell people about this, and you'll get reported to the police, you'll be fired in disgrace, and you'd lose control over the company you've been in charge of since 1981. That's good blackmail. And that would be easy. I could remain a WWE fan with that secret under my chest, and I would get everything I want from McMahon. It would be the best thing in the world, and I would love it. So please, Vince McMahon, if you're watching this somewhere, please come and rob my house. No one else come and rob my house. Just Vince McMahon. But, well, actually, I wouldn't even want that. I would just say to Vince, do this so I can take advantage and become part of your empire. Because, hey, if I want to be under the Dark Lord of Wrestling, making a huge good paycheck, doing something I love, I'd love it. So yeah, don't take that robbing my house thing seriously, because it's not gonna happen. It's just a fantasy scenario. I'm not pleading for it. In fact, discard that comment altogether. It's ridiculous. I shouldn't say something like that on my videos, but you guys know me. I'm a ridiculously hyperactive, crazy person who rants on YouTube. But what do you expect from me? Rico 3. Who do you think was the most powerful stable in WWE or WCW? Now, I had to do some thinking. Now, the Freebirds were in WCCW and the NWA, so they're out of the question. The Four Horsemen weren't at their strongest when they were in WCW full outright. And the NWO were obviously WCW's biggest stable, most power. Evolution, WWE's most powerful. And they were telling me, how the fuck can they be the most powerful? Backstage influence and able to influence the entire show's results and general manager in their favour for the best part of 3 years. Enough said. Not only that, but I then look at that. And that's how I define Evolution as being powerful. The NWO, on the other hand, were way more powerful. Okay, in gimmick terms, they had control of every single tier of wrestling in that company. From main event to undercard, to commentator to backstage slot. Not only that, but they also had the power to make the booking go their way in legitimate terms, because Hulk Hogan and Kevin Nash were douchebags. Enough said. So yeah, the most powerful stable is the NWO. Hands down, the NWO. No question about it, because there aren't too many factions and stables who have had that much power and influence. Because sure, DX had influence in making ratings go up for WWE. But no, they didn't have the influence on the inside. Okay, sure, the clique did, but that's not an official stable, is it? It's the fact that NWO had so much of an effect inside and outside WCW that they were the most powerful. Simple as. Roy Poon. Now, I am actually feeling a little stupid, because I haven't brought them in here. Because you asked this question, what are your favourite wrestling action figures? I haven't brought them in here, because I'm that fucking stupid. And I can't go get them, because I have to rummage through a fucking box to do it. So sorry if you asked this question, hoping for a visual representation of my wrestling figures, because there are a lot of them. I also realised I can't remember where the hell they're stored now. So that sucks on my part. But yeah, my favourites, obviously the Benoit figure that I had. It was one of the last ones in production before his death. Good, so I have it. The other one that I really love, simply because I paid so much money for it, was a limited edition Cactus Jack Classic Superstars figure, which had a barbed wire board with it. Because who wouldn't want a barbed wire board with their wrestling figures? Because you could do anything with that. Yeah, you could do anything with a barbed wire board. Barbed wire bats, they're a bit tame. Barbed wire board, you can do so much more. It's great fun. Seriously, the only reason I bought it was for the barbed wire board. But having a Mick Foley in my collection, always good. You gotta have a Foley in your collection, people. Seriously, don't have a Foley in your collection? Go buy one. Elizabeth1990 asks, what are your thoughts on John Cena? And I keep getting this question. I don't know why. I've said it multiple times, people. Do you respect him or hate him to death? I will answer this as quickly as I can, because it's the same old. I respect the guy, but I don't respect the character. Enough said. I don't hate him to death at all. Speaking of people who hate John Cena to death, Final Limits asked, what do you think of John Cena haters who wish death upon him? I feel These people are just like the Attitude Era nutjobs. They don't leave well enough alone. They don't see that what they're doing is stupid. Because I know Cena's the top guy. I know he knows sales. I know he has a shit character, but what am I going to do? It's just how it is. The fact is, I've learned to accept that he's going to be there. I can't do anything about it. A lot of others just keep saying, oh, he sucks. I'm going to kill him because he's ruined wrestling. He hasn't. I remember last time I think the last time or the time before that, I said that Cena is just another piece of the puzzle. He's another member of the wrestling cycle. He is not some undefeatable demigod like Hogan, because he had backstage influence to help him with that. He was a dick, and our people loved him. Cena, very nice guy with a shit character, and everyone hates him. I would rather wish Hulk Hogan death than Cena, because because Hulk Hogan's a douche. I think I can understand that. Despite Hulk Hogan doing something nice recently by helping a double lung transplant guy meeting Hogan off his bucket list, that's nice. But the rest of it, I don't care. Cena's haters should understand the guy can wrestle. He just needs the right match, the right scenario, and the right person to do it. He needs a new character. We understand it. We understand it, but it ain't going to happen for a while. Understand that. And also, just simply respect the man. Don't view the character as the man, because a lot of the haters will do that. They will say the character is the same person outside. Cena is not a power-hungry guy who doesn't put over people. Hulk Hogan was that. Cena isn't. So people who wish hate upon him, just look at the clearer picture, please, for the benefit of your sanity. Sean Mortimer, and I love this question because it's very topical and there's great debate. Who is the better in-ring worker, Cena or Orton? And I will answer this because I know I can. John Cena. 2 reasons. 1, John Cena can actually sell a beating. Orton never sells a beating. I've already mentioned it before. Hell in a Cell 2010 against Sheamus. Do the math. 2, and this is the most important. Cena has done technical matches. He has actually wrestled matches that are of good technical proportion. And also I'd like to point out the lengths of these matches. Hour-long match with Shawn Michaels on Raw. When has Orton done a match like that? When has Orton proved he can go the distance? Because, of course, Cena versus Orton, bragging rights, 2009 Iron Man match was a great match. But it was an Iron Man match. That was a typical. Well, not to mention, it was very hardcore at the same time. It wasn't a proper technical match. Cena's gone in matches like that with Triple H, with Jericho, proven out the other side that he can do anything. And the fact is, Orton has never. Okay, sure, one match Orton did, and that was against Chris Benoit. He managed to put on a bloody good match with one of the best ever, and please don't shoot me for that. But the fact is, yeah, to me, John Cena will forever be the better in-ring worker, simply because of those 2 facts. Until I see Orton do a 40-minute plus match, and do it well, with the right psychology, the right selling, working, the lot, I will respect him as a decent in-ring worker. Because to me, Cena, no matter how awful his moveset technically is, he's a bloody good wrestler. Enough said. Cancerous Mike Work, another Cena question. Do you think Cena will turn heel in the next 40 years? And I love the hyperbole on there. 40 years, like a gigantic generational thing. He will turn heel in the next 5 years. Mark my word, he's not going to stay face for too long now. He won't stay face. He won't be able to stay face for 10 straight years and be like Hogan. That's stupid. You're not Ricky Steamboat, Cena. Let me point that out. So yeah, I think it'll be the next somewhere in the next 5 years tops. You heard it from me first. Real Spider-Man Noir fan. What will you do if Cena saved your life? And you're obviously probably saying this thinking, oh, if it was a Cena hater, he would probably still be pissed at him for what he's done. I would be really happy that Cena saved my life. I respect him in an even bigger way than I already do. I would say to him, dude, thanks. And I would be so grateful. I'd probably be a fan of his thanks to that, because remember, if you get your life saved by anyone, you have admiration for them beyond the stretch. So I would turn into a Cena fan like that if he saved my life. And that's a bad thing, some people are saying, but hold their hands up here. I'm not too fussed by Cena. I never have been. It's like I said, just aspects of his character pissed me off. And this would be something that Cena the man would do, not the character, you see. I would love that. Roy Poon. And I love this question. It's a little interesting. What would you think if John Cena turned heel and WWE gave him a Raven-type gimmick where he's sitting in the dark looking depressed? How would you and every wrestling fan in the entire world... Sorry, it's capitalist... it's capitals. See him. Yeah, sorry. I got tongue-tied on that. Fucking water. I would love it. I'd love this gimmick idea. Because, think about it. We've seen Cena cheery and happy, or blunt and ridiculously offensive, since 2002. And one of those things before the other, of course. We have not seen Cena broken emotionally, depressed. We haven't seen that yet. And that would be so refreshing, wouldn't it? Just to see him depressed. To see him lose the will to live. And I'd love to see this. I'd love to see Cena believing he can become the greatest champion ever and hype himself up as so. Then lose and just completely lose everything. The sense of pride he's had since being the big super guy. And you know what? That would be fun. I think anyone who wants to see this is a guy who's an advocate for a Cena heel turn. And that's me, obviously. Biggie Cena 5682. Now, I can tell you're a Cena fan because you have Biggie Cena in your name. No problems with that. But of course, you say here, what's so bad about Cena? Okay, Biggie Cena. Go watch my 10 Reasons I Hate John Cena vid. That will answer all of your questions of why he is so bad. But, remember, all those points were the character. The guy, there is no issues there. Again, I have to keep repeating myself. Seriously. Largest 85. This is a completely inverse scenario to the question that I was given by Real Spider-Man the War fan. If you had the chance to save Cena's life, and you were the only person there that would save him, would you do it? Or would you let him die and become a hero to his haters for letting him die? And I love this little sarcastic quote. We all know he can't fly in real life because it's only a joke in the company he's working for. Nice one, Largest. I would save his life. I wouldn't let him die. He's a wrestler. I'm a passionate wrestling fan. It's sad to see any wrestler die. I would save his life at the snap of a finger. Plus, he'd be eternally grateful. I could get whatever the hell I want. Even though that would be slightly selfish of me, it would be possible. You know? It really would be. It would be so possible. Really. Really. Really? Really. Nintendo Fanboy 1988. What would the wrestling fans think if Cena came out to a chorus of boos from the crowd, which is technically normal? He breaks kayfabe, cries buckets of tears, and ran to the back because of the negative feedback. They would be stunned because it was never seen coming. They would wonder, wow, I wonder what's happened to Cena here. Has he finally succumbed to the hatred that we've been pouring at him for the last couple of years? Has something happened in his personal life that we can't decipher and he can't struggle with the burden of the people? It would make people ask a lot of questions. More than getting an answer, because I don't think WWE would ever let that answer happen. Although they could work it into a storyline. That's a good thing. Where am I? The next question from I Love Watermelons 525. Now, you gave me another question. Well, actually, technically you gave me 4 questions in total, one of which I am not going to answer because I picked this one over it. Now, the other question you gave me is awesome, and I'm leaving that till a bit later. But I chose this question because it meant I could get a bigger answer out of it. And it's just something I've never been asked. What look did you like better for Eddie Guerrero? The mullet or short hair? And I love this question because look, when I got the question, okay, I then had a feeling in my head, what do these hairstyles symbolize to Eddie Guerrero? And then it hit me, because both these hairstyles have different character traits embedded in them. The mullet, long, straggly, out of place, dirty looking, embodied his heel character and his dirty going around with actions, going around with China, going after the mamacitas, and also the drug use he probably would have done around the time, because I know he got fired in 2001 for shit like this. Then the short hair resembles the cleanliness of his lifestyle, that he's moved on from the low-end drug end, and he's managed to become better. His in-ring work improved, and he was able to still do some dirty tactics as a heel, lie, cheat, steal, but at least he did it with a smile on his face, and we loved him for it. That meant a much better, cleaner lifestyle. Now, which one do I prefer? I love the fact that I managed to get so much symbolism out of that. So much symbolism out of both of those. How much a hairstyle can be a defining part of a character, you know? Which one I like better? The mullet, hands down, because the short hair only became good when he had the yellow in it, the blonde in it, in 2005 before his death. That's the only time I ever gave a shit, because it looked very good. The mullet always was, to me, the typical classic Eddie Guerrero. Seriously. I think it is the main Eddie Guerrero look. Honestly, I'd give it every time. Speaking on the subject of Eddie, another drink. I'm feeling really lightheaded here. I've been going for 50 minutes, and I'm nowhere near the end yet. This could be one of the longest vids I'm ever going to do. In fact, how many questions have I got left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I've got 13 questions left, so some of them might take a while. Let me just point that out there. Anyway, speaking of Eddie Guerrero, Rico3 asked, if Eddie was still alive, do you think Chris Benoit and his family would still be alive, since Chris really started having problems after Eddie's death? 100% yes. Because when someone that close to you dies, it's a very painful process. And knowing Benoit was very close to Eddie, having your best friend die would have crushed him. And it did. And the fact is, he wouldn't have had the emotional burden that would have progressively made him want to get out there and go tooth to nail, do the best performances he could against anyone. He wouldn't have had to be able to overdo himself in the ring. He would have scaled back. He could have scaled back. He would have just done his normal workload. He wouldn't have had the intense emotional problems at home because he couldn't get over the grieving process. All that together combines to the emotional impact that could have led to an alcohol problem that would have probably fueled what happened on that day. It's simple. It's obviously a major factor. Eddie Guerrero's death was a major factor in this. And some people just don't seem to consider it. I consider it because it's a major piece of the puzzle. Put all the evidence together again, people, it matches. Speaking of the Chris Benoit tragedy, Final Limits asked, has WWE gone PG because of the Chris Benoit incident? Yes, in some way. Now, it's mostly because WWE was in a very bad light, and they wanted to be able to get the public on their side again. Obviously, WWE still has a hard time doing that, but then again, they wanted to make themselves be clean, and of course, their wellness policy was extended even further. They had everything to make sure this kind of thing would never happen, and the wellness policy is a significant factor of that. And for the most part, this is a definite factor, because without the Benoit tragedy, we would not be where we are today. Wrestling would be a completely different place without this, because we could still be TV14 today, but then again, I factor that to other things. Son of a bit. Sorry, I've got a lot of phlegm in there. But the fact is, it was a significant part. Definitely. because without it, WWE would never have had to change their image in any way. But I can also blame that PG change on the Shawn Michaels Chris Jericho match at Great American Bash 2008, because the USA Network didn't like it. Look at my blog. It definitely proved it when I put that stuff in there. Biggie Cena 5682. Now this is interesting, because do you direct this at me or the IWC in general? I have no idea. Why do you hate the PG times when there's no bad words said, which makes it the best? And I bet in a million ways, I would bet my life on this, there are people saying, how can it be the best? You're evil, you're stupid. They're going to say that. Biggie Cena 5682, let me defend you for a second. I am not a hater of PG. I believe that wrestling is wrestling no matter what rating it is. Because I say this a lot. Attitude Era nutjobs, you hate everything that is not Attitude Era. You hate anything that isn't like what the Attitude Era gave. And because PG rating is there, you take it out as a giant, huge target, and you think, oh yeah, that's the reason why my wrestling gotten shit. I'm going to stab it repeatedly with this invisible dagger I've got in my hand. You're going to be like that. Fact is, we still have had some great matches, some great feuds, haven't we, in this PG era? It's not the worst thing in the world, people, because it's still wrestling, okay? Okay, it's still wrestling. If you're a true wrestling fan, you will keep up with it regardless of what your opinion is. Don't complain about it. The fact is also, in regards to the bad words, it's good that coarse language isn't everywhere, okay? It's sometimes needed to add intensity and pull out some fantastic quips, wisecracking remarks, and just blunt, offensive insults. It needs intensity from those to give some spice back to modern-day promo work. That's one thing I do miss. But honestly, I've got to live with it. That's how it is, you know? I can go to Progress Wrestling for that. I can go to Progress Wrestling for all the stuff that WWE doesn't put on. I'm happy. I have a muse. It's my own, London-based, independent-fed I can go watch for that stuff. And it's awesome, by the way. Go to Chapter 3 in late September, because I can't make it because I'm off at uni in my Freshers Week. So yeah, go to that if tickets are still available. Get tickets. Progress Wrestling, Chapter 3. 50 Shades of Pain. Go to it now. Get the tickets if you haven't. Speaking of eras, rapper Triple J, do you think the Attitude Era helped or hurt wrestling? It helped wrestling by making it the biggest juggernaut that it had ever been at that point. It gave it mainstream popularity that, to be honest, it hasn't seen since or before then. Well, bar Hogan. But you see, it has hurt wrestling because it has made wrestling be typified by a stereotype. Because the people who watched wrestling with the Attitude Era were the teenagers, and also the Southern guys, and who would obviously be so, oh my god, this is awesome, fanboys. Guys like that. Rabid fans who wouldn't give a shit if it was fake or real, because the internet didn't exist around then, they couldn't find out if it was. Or see it was if they weren't that bit blind. The fact is also it exposed wrestling as the violent sport it is. It exposed the way they degraded women in wrestling. Because to be honest, if the Attitude Era wasn't around, women's wrestling wouldn't be shit. Okay, sure, you can say the Attitude Era had Sable, Chyna, Jacqueline, Molly Holly, Trish, Lita, those great divas. But honestly, they were just eye candy for the grown men watching, because they were the core demographic, weren't they? And honestly, it's hurt wrestling because the fans are now ripping on the modern day product because of it. And that's awful. Because, I've said it millions of times, if you're a true wrestling fan, you do not care. It's just wrestling. Go along with it if you're a true fan, like me. If you're not, try and fuck off, because I know you won't. You can't get away from wrestling even if you try. Speaking of eras, rapper Triple J, what's your favourite era in wrestling? Ruthless Aggression. I grew up with it, therefore it's nostalgia. Second, it has the perfect combination of new generation, early 90s to mid 90s wrestling, and Attitude Era gimmicks and mic work. Enough said. Ruthless Aggression to me is the hybrid between the two previous eras of wrestling put together, and it was honestly perfect. To me, I would say it right now, the best time to watch wrestling, because you had everything you could want in wrestling in that era, honestly. You can either melodramatic, storyline-fueled great stuff on Raw, or you can have the great technical wrestling on SmackDown. You had a choice, you knew which one you went for, and to be honest, based on the awards it won, you know which one won out. It was still good stuff. I miss it, but I'm not overly nostalgia, as you know. Because I love it, but I don't want to dwell on it, you know. Past is the past, folks. Speaking of the past, speaking of eras, speaking of those Attitude Era nut jobs, Mark Tam's 1990-90, and I love this because I've technically already answered it, but do you think some people have their heads stuck so far up the Attitude Era's arse that they criticise every single thing in the company? Yes, because they are the Attitude Era nut jobs. They are the guys who just don't care. They will say, oh, no, Attitude Era equals bad. I hate those people. I made a blog about it, for God's sake. I hate the Attitude Era nut jobs. They are the... I hate the Attitude Era nut jobs more than I hate Hornswoggle, because Hornswoggle isn't around 24/7, every day a month, 365 days a year. I don't have to worry about that. I have to worry about these fuckers who keep posting on Facebook, on forums, on YouTube, oh, modern day wrestling sucks, therefore we must always say bring back Attitude Era. It is an absolute pain in the arse for me, because I hate being around wrestling fans who are like that online. Okay, no offense to guys like Largest85 and anyone else who is a subscriber to me, because you know my opinion if you've watched my vids long enough. I'm just saying, nostalgia is slowly killing you as a wrestling fan, because eventually, people will not care about you. Like me. I don't care about Attitude Era nut jobs, because they don't matter. Because you're the section of the fan base that WWE doesn't give a shit about. Because you're the people who complain about something even when you get something you want. And that's why they hate you. That's why I hate you. Because you don't stop. Got that? Good. So please, just stop force-feeding yourself nostalgia and sucking the dog of Attitude Era before you end up losing sight of why you enjoy wrestling in the first place. If that isn't a good enough message, I don't know what is. Because, honestly, this is why I'm going to be slightly happy to go into university, that I hope there isn't an Attitude Era nut job there. If there is, I may have to tolerate them. But you never know. I just think that you guys have just got to listen to reason and stop bumming the Attitude Era. Please. Because I didn't. Hey, it had some good stuff, but it wasn't the best thing in the world. Seriously, think about it for a sec. All the crap that it had. It had so much crap as well. In fact, every era of wrestling has crap in it. Not just now, damn it. Ugh. Fuck yeah, I finally get to get it off my chest in a blunt way. Sorry, I've always wanted to do it that way. Don't criticize me. Please don't criticize me in any way or form. It's for the benefit of your sanity and mine. I love Watermelons 525, your last question. What wrestlers in the 80s do you think took steroids? And which wrestlers do you think take them now? Also, was steroids legal back then in the 80s? Okay, I'm going to name the ones in the 80s who I think were doing steroids. The Steiner brothers. Look at them. Look at their tag team picture in the late 80s. How the fuck? There's no way. I'm sorry, there's absolutely no way they did it without steroids. Randy Macho Man Savage probably had a small amount. British Bulldog definitely did steroids in the 80s. You can tell that by looking at him. And I know he did because he had a reported issue with them. Ultimate Warrior, because the guy's a douche, he needed him. Hulk Hogan obviously took steroids. I think you all need to note, if you look at the pictures from the 80s, yeah, he took steroids. We know it. Why would he testify against McMahon in a steroid trial if he wasn't going to save his own face? Seriously. He is the... Yeah, we know he took steroids. Mr. Perfect took some, I think. I know Roddy Piper was still pretty small, so he definitely didn't take any. Hercules definitely took some, because he technically died of a drug problem later in life. Some others in my head, I forgot about. I think Bret Hart may have taken a couple, but then again, knowing him and just how good he was, and the reputation he had, he wouldn't have done it, I don't think. Undertaker may have taken... I know he's not in the 80s, but Taker may have taken some. Lord knows. Who takes them now? Now, with the wellness policy, it's obvious that there wouldn't be anyone who would do it. Although there are guys who I recently believe would take them. In recent times. Not now, but recent times. Batista. Because, honestly, you look at him in 2002, he was on him. No question. Triple H is questionable. Very questionable, because he made books on bodybuilding, very inspired by Schwarzenegger and all that stuff. Would he have done it? Yes. Has he done it, though? Very questionable. I wouldn't be able to tell. Jericho, simply because if you look at his build, he doesn't take them now, but look at his build in 2002. His shoulders were out there, for God's sake. He had the widest torso and chest and shoulder area that I have ever seen in a wrestler. Seriously, look back, Royal Rumble 2001, you will see my point. I was like, there! How the hell he even moves those fuckers? I have no idea. To me, that's a typical notion of steroid abuse. And also, well, Lesnar doesn't take them anymore, but he used to. Was steroids legal back then in the 80s? No. Technically, it's never been legal. But then again, WWE was never thought of in the 80s as a major sport company. Never. It was an entertainment company. No, it wasn't hounded on by the sports and the governments to say, look, steroids. Okay, it was a major allegation, but it was never fully proven. Hey, it was only when the steroids trial in '94 came up that WWE really needed to change their stance to put lighter guys on the product. Yeah, Kevin Nash, you're one of those guys too. Think about it. What you may have done could have damaged wrestling forever, you know. Yeah, so I think it wasn't legal, but they could get away with it because they weren't a technical sport institution in that sense. Nice little question here from Mark Tams, 1990. What would be your reaction if somebody like MSDC Punk or Large85 came to the WWE and mentioned you on TV? I would be very chuffed. Just like whenever I'm mentioned. Just whenever I'm mentioned, I get such a good feeling because people out there acknowledge my existence on YouTube and they like my vids. That makes me happy. Hey, when Mr. Parkin did a live stream last night, I came on and he said, go on, subscribe to CreamCrazyWR. I just felt so happy. So happy. Every time I am mentioned by another YouTuber, it makes this much more of a reason to do. Because it means people like and respect my videos and opinions. That's good. And without that, I wouldn't be doing this, really. Right. I have to drink a quick sip of water. Because this is now an important juncture in the video. I have now got 5 questions left. Okay? I will tackle 4 of them quickly. Because, ladies and gentlemen, do you remember when I announced on my Q&A, when I said on my Guess Who's Back video, live from Sydney, I said I would have to take a few people's heads off. I would have to have a go at a few people. Because of a certain subject matter in some of the questions. Well, I've now reached the point where I have to. And I think you know who you are, people. Because, okay, since my, I think April or May Q&A, I've had to deal with the questions about a YouTuber called NecroVMX, a guy who reviewed wrestling games on the SNES, on the Nintendo 64, and ripped them to pieces as well as ripping wrestling apart, if you haven't watched my videos up until now. The fact is, every Q&A I get at least 1 or 2 questions about him, and some fantasy scenarios about him doing something really ridiculously dangerous, right? Wanting to kill some wrestlers, wanting to beat some up, wanting to endanger wrestling fans' lives and make a fool of himself, that kind of thing. I was fine with them. Getting 1 or 2 at a time, I was fine with that. The problem with this time, and I really, really don't want to tell you guys what you can and cannot post, but getting 4 questions, 4, about NecroVMX? No. I'm sorry, but that's where I have to draw the line, okay? I've already told you don't post stupid questions, but in this case, from this Q&A onwards, whenever I do another one, because honestly at the moment it's ambiguous, I'm off to uni before the end of September, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a video of one, so I'll have to wait and see. The fact is, don't send me any more NecroVMX questions, please, because I'm getting sick of them. To get 4 in one Q&A is overkill. I'm sorry. But and actually, they got more stupid as they went down. And this is no insult to the 4 people who sent these and their creativity. I acknowledge you are very good people. But to get this kind of question 4 times in one is not right. I don't want to get those questions anymore. So if anyone sends me a NecroVMX question from here on out, I will send it back to you, and I will say, give me another one. I will not ridicule you, but I will just say, just give me another question, okay? Because I'm getting sick of having these questions here. Really, I am getting so sick of them. And we start off with the first of the guilty 4, Nintendo Fanboy 1988. What would happen if NecroVMX and a couple of his friends, like Video Games and Ryoka13X, I'm guessing other YouTubers who hate wrestling, who review video games too, I'm guessing, invaded a WWE or any wrestling event for that matter, grabbed a female wrestler like Kelly or Maria, not Maria Menounos, because she was a celebrity, but Maria, you know, the ditzy brunette who everyone loves, including myself, and put a gun to their heads and have the audience beg not to kill those 2 young ladies. What would happen, and how scared and traumatized would these 2 ladies be? What would happen is the security would be slightly pessimistic, but one lunatic would jump over the barricade to stop them. Simple. How scarred and traumatized would they be? They would be! There's a freaking gun to their heads! That's a question answered. Simple. Cancerous mic work. And the next one of the guilty 4. No problem. Don't go ranting at me, telling me that I offended you and that you made you look really stupid, because I've already put out there, it's the NecroVMX I'm angry about, not you. What if NecroVMX killed a wrestling fan in public and screamed, I'm not going to bother screaming it, this is what should happen to all wrestling fans, I will kill them all. What do you think will be the consequences for him? Threatening the lives of an entire group of people is, well, it's not genocide, but it's threatening genocide, because okay, wrestling fans are not an ethical group. We're not a group of people. It's not racist in any form, but it would still be an issue, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? It would still technically count as a major threat to people's lives all around the world. He'd go to prison. Or he'd get a cautionary order, and then if he continued, he would probably be sent to an anger management clinic. Largest 85. The next one. What if you saw NecroVMX drowning a wrestler while saying these words? What you guys do is fake and stupid, now die. Would you help that wrestler by beating up Necro, or let Necro kill him? Same thing in saving Skinner's life. I would help the wrestler and beat the shit out of the guy. And finally, Elizabeth 1990. Now, this was the one that made me say no more. This was the one that made me say I am answering no more NecroVMX questions. Because this one made my blood boil. Really. Because I closed the book on this back in June. If you... No, wrong question. Last one's a good one. I'm ending the Q&A on a high note with one last question that isn't NecroVMX. What if it was revealed that Chris Benoit did not commit the murder-suicide, but NecroVMX was the one who killed Benoit and his family? What would happen if the fans found out? Seriously! Now, I know this would be a way of making me want to hate on NecroVMX and more, because you want to hear me do it, people. I know, because that's why there's 4 questions for this kind of thing. But seriously, give me this little nugget, which isn't technically gold at all. It's the other interpretation of a nugget. This is... I face-palmed and wanted to punch my screen when I got this question. Because it is utter stupid. Okay, the fans would have to reconsider. They go, oh wow, so we were wrong about them all along. But then, of course, like a lot of things, these people would say, doesn't matter what happened in this new evidence, I still believe Benoit did it. That's what happens to any time a murderer, a convicted murderer, is released from prison, and a guy who actually, because of a lack of evidence or a false imprisonment for someone else who really committed the crime, people would still think that that guy committed the crime in the first place. It wouldn't change, and WWE would probably still hold the same. They would not be able to rectify what damage they've done to his legacy by erasing him. So, nothing would really happen. The fans would be changing their ways, possibly. WWE would not. Oh, God. And on the hour 15 mark, I reached my final question. I decided to leave it on a high, because after those Necro-VMX questions, I didn't want to leave the Q&A with me and myself feeling a bit angry. Again, I have fucking sweated buckets, you can see. I get really warm doing these Q&As because I vent, and when I vent, it gets warm. And, yeah, you know the rest. Anyway, final limits. You have the pleasure and the crowning achievement of closing off my Q&A. Closing? Not an accent. Because usually it's largest who gets the opportunity to do that, but this question deserves it. If you were a wrestler, what gimmick would you have? What would your finisher be? And why haven't you become a pro wrestler yet? I love this question. I've had too much water. Right. What gimmick would I have? I would say just me. Just be a guy that you see on YouTube now. I'd be a guy ranting the truth. Saying to people what it is like in the wrestling business and saying that these people have no fucking clue. And I'd basically make the crowd look very small, but they'd still hate me. I would do way better berating people than I would be trying to gain their respect, you know. My finishing maneuver would basically be a DDT. I love DDTs, always have done. A side swinging DDT would be one. It's different, makes them land in a different way. It actually means I don't have to pull them down. All I have to do is slightly turn them sideways and swing them. That's all I'd need to do, folks. Easier said than done, really. And why haven't I become a pro wrestler yet? Now, I reveal a lot of personal information about myself, like my username and other things out there in regards to my mum's health, all that stuff. Now I'm going to open you up to another page of the Freddie Thomas Cream Crazy Life Chronicles, because this is actually quite important, because it technically is the reason why I am not in the avenue of being a pro wrestler, besides my unfit physique. Okay, now I was doing backyard wrestling. I can't remember where exactly. It was either on a trampoline or a bed in the house somewhere. And my brother locked in an El Paso leg lock on me. Painful. It was. Very painful. I don't know if this actually caused it, but it was the last thing I remember before the pain set in. The leg whacked me in the nuts. And you'll be saying to me, what the fuck's the problem with that, Fred? It caused testicular torsion, a common injury for many athletes, apparently. A common injury, definitely, when the tubes inside your balls get twisted. I will tell you now, people, I've had it twice. To be the unlucky person to have it twice is a 1 in a million thing, according to a urologist in Cyprus when the second time it happened. The fact is, it's the biggest single pain I've ever had. It is, in my opinion, the male equivalent to childbirth, because that's painful for women. This is painful when you've got a pain inside your nads. And also, to point it out, morphine couldn't stop it. Morphine couldn't stop the pain, so that's a blunt assessment. Most other medications and drugs couldn't do it either. So, it is the pain nearest to the equivalent of childbirth on a male scale. The fact is, having that really made physical exertion a problem for me, because it really made me say, if I do anything, I will get hurt again. And I don't want it happening again. I honestly don't want to have it happen again. But the fact is, it will never happen again, because the operation to fix it was done right. The fact is, everybody, I would have wanted to be a pro wrestler. I loved wrestling in the backyard. I loved it. And I wanted to do it more. But the fact is, because of... Okay, sure, athletes who have had testicular torsion go on to have their careers continue afterwards. But the fact is, I never wanted to be a wrestler after that, because I never wanted an injury similar to that. I'm afraid of pain, okay? That's one of the injuries that made it happen, okay? That means, if I go into a situation where I'm in pain, I will not like it. So therefore, physical exertion is always a problem. And that is why I have never become a pro wrestler. I want to still be involved in wrestling now, as a commentator, as a manager, with a mouthpiece. I wouldn't get fired like AW, because I'd have common sense. And also, yeah, I'd rather also be a booker as well, so I wouldn't have to do any physical exertion. You know? The thing is, that's how it is. That's how my life would probably be set out. This is how it's going to be. Me being a wrestler was a dream, but it's never going to be done. And I must commend James Lee Morehouse for Black Rose 1991 for actually doing it. For actually getting in a training regime to become a wrestler. Well done, man. At least you are taking the bull by the horns and going for it. And also, Chris Quinteros on Facebook also does it too. Well, congratulations. Congratulations to you guys. Do what you gotta do, make it, be successful. That's all I can wish for you guys. Because my dream ended a long time ago. Let's hope yours doesn't, eh? I know that is a very personal story. Some of you might find it disgusting. Some people might say to me, why the hell did you put that out there in the first place? Hey, if you know me better, you could talk to me better. That's how it is with me. I talk about myself because then people have a reason to talk to me. You know? Oh, I used to be so ashamed of that injury. Seriously. Because when you have it when you're quite young, about 14 years old, and in social situations like that, it is a thing that people can laugh at. Not anymore. I'm happy with it. Anyway, guys, on that really personal yet high note for me, knowing that I've overcome this ridiculous injury, it's time to end my August Q&A. Now, I said during my part earlier on this, when I was venting on the Attitude and Nut Jobs, that I probably won't do a Q&A in September because I'm going to be at uni before the end of the month, so I won't be able to do one on YouTube. In fact, I won't be able to do videos on YouTube full stop at uni because of the confined space and the amount of volume. Hell, this room is massive compared to a uni room. A uni room would be quite small, compact. This is a massive box of a room. Uni won't have that opportunity for me. It won't. So I would need to say that, guys, this is why you should be bookmarking my blog, because that's where I'm going to put the stuff. Hell, if I get some questions in, guys, you can still send them to me. But I'm going to have to do them in written form instead of video form. Or collect them all together and do a gigantic, humongous Q&A when I get back from uni after my first term. That's an idea. Why don't I do that? Why don't I have that as an idea, guys? Keep sending me the questions. I'll do them when I come back from uni. How about that? When I come back from uni after my first 3 months, I will do that Q&A for you. So keep sending your questions in, because then you'll be more excited when the next one comes around, right? Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and please subscribe up there. I know you want to if you haven't done it already, because you want to see more videos? I've got a big thing planned, guys. Wrestling Rant Week next week. There's going to be a rant video on the Sunday, as usual. Then I will have one video every single day of that week from Sunday to Sunday, doing Wrestling Rant. How awesome is that? You get more videos from me in a week than you've gotten over the course of the last couple of months. All's good. So yeah, subscribe to me and you will get those immediately, okay? That's a good thing. Then you can also comment down there any of your Q&A questions or any comments on any of the questions I've actually answered in this Q&A. Put it down there, people. Weird voice, that was weird. Anyway, I'll see you guys for the first for Wrestling Rant 58 next week, which will be, well, about Ryback. Because honestly, I'm going to ask the question, what is the point in Ryback? Guys, I have been Cream Crazy, you've been people watching. This has been our highly emotive and fucking ridiculous. I mean, seriously, look at the state of me. It's been a ridiculous and epic August Q&A. The last one for at least 3 months. And I will see you next Sunday for Wrestling Rant. Have a fantastic week and a good bank holiday for the guys who are having them tomorrow. Cheers. Oh man, I love this YouTube shit. It's awesome.